March 24th. That will be the first week of Nebraska's spring ball. They're going to, by the way, Sipple, headline number 4 here, March 24th, recruiting weekend. They're going to practice Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That's going to be the general spring schedule. Nothing out of the norm. They're going to keep the morning practices, but that first weekend of spring ball, it's going to be a massive recruiting weekend highlighted by Dylan Raiola. We've already confirmed 8 2024s, 1 2025 that are going to be here, and that list continues to grow. I mentioned Dylan Raiola, the 5-star. There's going to be another 5-star here, from Lee Summit North, William Nawarni. He's a 5-star defensive end. He's the #1 player in the state of Missouri. Then you're going to have the #1 player in Idaho, Gatlin Bear. He's a wide receiver that will be making his way in. You'll have the #1 player in Iowa that's going to be here in Grant Bricks from Logan Magnolia. So, there's a number of top guys that will be making their way here. And that list, I think, is going to continue to grow as that opening weekend of spring practice is going to be maybe one of the biggest, early recruiting weekends for Matt Rule, especially if things go well with Dylan Raiola.
Right. So, yeah, that's huge. So the spring practice will begin March 20th. Yeah, this is, and you know how it is, Sean. I mean, if you get kids here, if you get them on campus, that a lot of them are sort of amazed by what they see in the city, and just the city and the program. I don't know. I've always believed that if you get them here, you got a decent chance. Especially now, I know we're not talking about the spring game, but if you can get some of these kids back, I guess on unofficials for the spring game on April 22nd. Come on now, that thing's going to be packed with the new coaching staff, and that'll make a huge impression on a lot of kids. This spring will be critical, and it could be really, really fruitful because of the newness of the staff, because of the energy right now that you feel with starting with the head coach, but throughout the staff. Yeah. And then, yeah, that whole discussion involving Dylan Raiola, it could be an incredibly intense spring.
Because if they can get him, he then becomes your most valuable recruiter.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think he's cut out for that kind of job. I always I'm always a little hesitant to go down that path because it feels like you're not only are you expecting him to win games on the field, but now you're expecting him to win recruiting battles. So I don't like to do that, but it's just inherent in the discussion.
Yeah, 2 5-stars though visiting.
Oh man!
First of all, there aren't a lot of 5-stars right now. I think people need to understand that. Like on 3 right now, like we don't even have that many guys carrying a 5-star ranking, and 2 of them are going to be in Lincoln in March. I mean, yeah, that's unbelievable. When you put it in those dry terms, that
and what it means to me is those are the difference making. I mean, oftentimes, let's face it, 5-star players are the difference makers. I believe that Nebraska has to get back to getting those kind of players. For some reason in this market, we've just sort of forgotten about the importance of all Americans. Why you think you can win championships without all Americans is really beyond me. But we do that here. I don't know if you think you can win the Big Ten. You can topple Ohio State with cute little stories. No, you got to go get dudes. How are you going to win? You want to win the Big Ten? Is that something you want to do? If you do, you better go get a lot of 4-star and 5-star guys, or you're just going to be the perennial underdog that maybe once every 10 years rises up and gets in there. If that's what you want to be, that's what you want to be.
Well, to kind of put it into more perspective, so we have the consensus at On 3, which is a combination of all the rankings together. So Raiola's number 1, Nawarni's number 10, but in the actual On 3 rankings, the ones that we do with Charles Power, who is one of the better evaluators in the industry, he did 24/7's rankings for a number of years before coming over here to On 3 with Shannon Terry. He's got Raiola 1 Nawarni number 3 overall.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
according to our rankings at On 3, 2 of the top 3 players, SIP, in the country will be here. I mean, there's never really been that type of impact guys here in one weekend.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And if you got both of them, then automatically you look at the program differently. Now, again, you always got to throw this in. They have to pan out. I mean, because you land 2 5-star players it guarantees you nothing. But I think it gives you a better chance.
Then finally, Ian Flint will be here again. This will be his second trip to Lincoln. But what does that mean? Are they going to take 2 tight ends? I mean, because we know Carter Nelson is probably the number 1 tight end on the board at this point. So would they take a commitment from Ian Flint right now on his second trip?
Yeah.
Because are they going to take 2? I mean, we don't really know the answers to their tight end board right now.
Yeah, those are difficult recruiting discussions. That whole discussion with Raiola is fascinating to me. That if he, I don't know that he'll do this, Sean, but if he takes his recruitment into June, what's Nebraska do at that stage? You've said you said the other day that perhaps they would just, at that point, you just rely on the portal. But all those things are very, like, the fluidity of these discussions. It's fun for us, but it's challenging, I would think, for coaches.
Look how razor thin that RPM is on Raiola. I mean, generally you don't see it this close, where there's 3 teams kind of all right there.
Yeah.
Ohio State's out of it. I mean, they're just kind of hanging on in the formula based on he was previously committed there. But you've mentioned with Raiola, some other teams like a Penn State, there could be a surprise player that emerges here this spring. Yeah,
that RPM I like. I think that's an accurate RPM. Just based on a lot of conversations with Dominic, everybody knows Georgia's in this, and everybody knows Nebraska's in it. USC in the last few months has really escalated in the conversation. I just know from Dominic's comments that there was a period when USC, I don't think, was doing a very good job of recruiting Dylan Raiola, but that has changed. And they're a major factor. That is I would say, based on conversations with Dominic, that's a very accurate RPM. But he also characterized the recruitment of Dylan as being wide open. So, another team could jump in there. I don't know. He didn't name any. He named a bunch of teams that could jump in, Penn State being one of them.
If you're not familiar, what RPM stands for, Recruit Prediction Machine. Shannon Terry, when they were at 247, he created the crystal ball. That's become obviously a huge part of the recruiting process. This is On 3's version. It's the Recruit Prediction Machine. We can put predictions in, but what the RPM does is it pulls the prediction data from other networks as well, Rivals and 247, puts them in here. It takes social media likes and other data out there. So it is a really unique formula, the RPM, the way it pulls that data. And I agree with you. I mean, that's about how I would handicap it. I mean, Nebraska's right there. I'm not ready to put an RPM in at this point. I know some people have done that for Nebraska or Georgia or whoever. But I'm not comfortable to say he's going to, pick Nebraska. Right. I don't know. I really don't.
I would just like someone to call me a recruit prediction machine. I don't.
You put a low confidence in. I mean, you can do like a 40%.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you on Dylan. I think this is the way to look at it right now.